screen, right? You can see the Monday slide. Okay, so this is what we're doing today. Again, the notes for 10-1, which is areas. This is something that you've been learning for, like, I don't know, the entirety of your math life, which is the good news. Okay, today's should be super easy. Again, this is the plan for this week. We're going to cover the 10-1 notes today. You're going to do the homework tonight. That's due Wednesday, and then I'm going to see you again on Wednesday. We're going to cover the warm-up and then do the 10-2 notes, which is still some more areas. And then you'll do your 10-2 homework. We'll probably take a quiz maybe next week on the first two sections of the, or three, depending on how far we can get. On Wednesday, I'll let you know that for sure. And then the week after that, you'll take a test just like you did on Friday on Canvas, except that for that time, because we're Zooming every day, I'll meet you in on Zoom. And then that way, if you have a question or anything, you can ask while you're taking it with me. I'm still going to let you use your notes. I'm still going to let you use a calculator. So that part should be a little bit easier. Okay, so 10-1 is called areas and parallelograms and triangles. What's funny is that there's rectangles in here, which I don't know why it wasn't in the, it's like not on what your book names the section, but there are rectangles. So the areas of rectangles, parallelograms, and triangles are what we're going to cover today. We start with the rectangle. We're going way back, folks. Area of a rectangle is base times height, or sometimes we say length times width, same thing. For this, you need two sides, the base and the height, the length and the width. Okay, it doesn't matter which one you make the base, which one you make the height. Usually what happens is the length is the longer side, if you wanted to identify between those two, but honestly, it doesn't really matter. So my advice is to make like one, maybe when I do the review video, I'll give you like a review sheet to do this. I would make one sheet with all of the areas on there, so you're not flipping in and out of your notes through all of the sections. So I would say that as you go to take your test, maybe one area's formula sheet would be the easiest way to keep track of all this stuff. This would be the first. Good. Okay, you're welcome. And this is the second one, area of a parallelogram. Now they are the same formula. It is base times height. You have a question? Yep. So this is same equation, except that these are not sides anymore, because a parallelogram has that slant to it. The height is going to be found by using the little segment that has a right angle on it. So that's how you know height. It's perpendicular to the side, so it has to have the right angle. And then the base can either be here or it could be up here. Any of those sides are fine. So if I'm looking at the one down here, that height is also called altitude. So here's my base. The top would also be the base, okay? And then the perpendicular segment, or the segment with the right angle, is the altitude, and the altitude is the same thing as the height. Sometimes the altitude is shown outside the parallelogram. So notice here, this is outside the parallelogram. It's still the altitude as long as it intersects the base at a right angle, or the extension of the base like this at the right angle. So we would still use this as the height and this as the base. Easy stuff, right? Good so far? Okay, here's example 1. So area of each figure, the first thing you're going to do is obviously identify what kind of figure it is. A is a parallelogram, and a parallelogram's area is base times height. So the base is 20, and the height is the one that's on the perpendicular segment. That's 10. So we just do area equals 20 times 10, which is 200. Then the units is what we put on the end, and for area they're always squared. So whatever the unit is, which in this case is meters, we just write that squared. So it'd be 200 units squared, or 200 meters squared. Easy stuff, right? Okay, next one is also, B is also a parallelogram, which means it's base times height. The base and the height are the same this time. The base is 8 and the height is also 8. So area is 8 times 8, which is 64 feet squared. Now you will have questions just like this on the homework, and I know it doesn't require a lot of work, but I want to see both steps. What's your equation and then what's your answer, okay? Again, you can use a calculator for these because you're going to be able to use them for your test. So don't stress too much about the multiplication. Use the calculator, but make sure you're giving me both of those steps, what the equation is and then also what your answer is. All right, C is a rectangle, which is still base times height or length times width. This could be my base, this could be my height, or vice versa. This could be the base, and this could be the height, doesn't matter. Area would be 12 times 5, or 60 centimeters squared. Good so far. Okay, next up comes area of a triangle. Again, a formula we've known for a long time. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. The base is on the bottom this time. It doesn't have to be on the bottom. It's just one of the sides of your triangle. And then the height has to be the altitude or the perpendicular segment. So you have to have that little right angle. If it was a right triangle and the right angle is built into the actual triangle, then this would be the base and the side doubles as the height. So if it's a right triangle, the sides of the legs, the non-hypotenuse side, those are your base and your height. If it's not a right triangle like the original drawn, then you have to look for the perpendicular side, the side that's got the right angle. That's your height. So when we do this, we can either do 1/2 of the base, that number, then multiply it times the height, or we can multiply the base times the height and then divide it by 2. The order there doesn't matter. So I'll show you a couple examples of how you could do that in different order. All right, so this is example 2. A says find the area of each figure. This again, these are both triangles. So area equals 1/2 base times height. For A, my base is 16. My height is 12, the one that's on the right, the line with the right angle. So area would equal 1/2 16 times 12. So most of these, I would say you kind of don't need a calculator for. What I can do here is do 1/2 of 16, which is 8, and then multiply 8 times 12. That's 96. Or you can, in your calculator, type in 0.5 times 16 times 12, and you'll also get 96. Or you can multiply 16 times 12 and then divide it by 2. So the order that you do that in doesn't matter. You can do any of those. Any way you do it, though, it should give you 96, and we're saying that's centimeters squared. Questions on that one? Yes. So, I mean, for homework wise, I just want you to get in the hang of it. It's funny, there are teachers that are so particular about it that they will take points off for it. In my opinion, I'm not going to stress that much about it. Like, if you can get me the numeric part of it, that's what I want to see. The other thing is, if it's a quiz on Canvas that's an open fill in the blank question, you'll just type in 96, and in the instruction will say, do not include the units. So you would just give me the answer as 96. But if it's a multiple choice question, then realize that the units will probably be on there. So like A would say 96 centimeters squared. It's not like I'm going to trick you and say 96 centimeters squared and then like 96 meters squared. I'm not going to trick you and change the unit, but just realize on standardized test, if it's a multiple choice test for me, that kind of stuff, it will have the unit on there. That's all. I love that Eddie's going to the bathroom on our virtual meeting. Fantastic. You had a half hour, dude. Nothing changes. Nothing changes whether we're in school or outside of school, right? Why should I think it's going to be any different? All right. Questions on that one? Oh, I didn't finish it. Duh. Wait, let me finish. This one, right, we didn't do. B is also 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 9 times 8. So here's an example where 1/2 of 9 is harder than multiplying those two and dividing. You can also do the 1/2 and the 8 would be 4. That's 36. Or you could do 1/2 9 times 8, which is 72, which is also 36. Either way, you get 36, and this would be inches squared. Okay, so again, go ahead and open up the homework for today, that 10.1 homework. It's not a lot of questions. I'm asking you to show your work. So go ahead and work on it. I'm going to stay on right now. Like, we're going to keep on camera so that if you've got a question, you can ask it. You can use a calculator on this stuff. You just need to make sure that you're showing me your steps. So for something like number 8, you would want to be doing which of those is the base, right? The base is going to be the one that intersects with the perpendicular side. So for number 8, for example, the base is 20 and the height is 12. The height is 12. The height's always going to be the one that's like perpendicular inside or perpendicular outside. Okay, now this is as hard as it gets. We're just going to put those two together. There's a lag. Hang on. There we go. You guys see the last problem on your screen from me? Yes. Shake your head yes or no. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So now this is made up of two shapes, right? Hang on. You guys, if you're leaving meetings because Wi-Fi kicks you out, it's one thing. If you're leaving meetings and then coming back in every single time, I'm going to end up leaving you out. And then I got to take attendance at the end. It's not that hard just to stay in that meeting. All right, find the area of each figure. So this time I'm going to find the area of the triangle. And then I'm going to find the area of the square on the bottom. And then I'm going to add the two together. So I'm going to do the area of the triangle plus the area of the square. So area of the triangle is 1/2 base times height. The base on this triangle, look, this is a square and all sides are marked congruent. That's how I know it's a square. Which means if this is 6, this is 6, this is 6, and this is 6. So this 6 is the base on my triangle. So it's 1/2 6 times the height of the triangle, which is 8. And again, I can do 1/2 of 6 which is 3, and 3 times 8, which is 24. And it's inches squared this time. Or I could have done 6 times 8, which is 48, and then divide it by 2, it's still 24. So that's the area of the triangle. We good on that one? Okay, now we need to find the area of the square. So a square is still a rectangle, which means I can do base times height. Or a square actually has a special formula, which is side squared, because they are both the same. So you could use either one. 6 times 6 or 6 squared. Those are the same things. And I get 36, and that would be inches squared. Because it wants the area of the entire figure, I'm going to take the 24 and add it to the 36. And I get 60 inches squared. Go ahead, Skylar. Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's it. I mean, you could take those and do them in all the different ways. Just realize that these are all, I mean, because we're dividing by 2, sometimes you might get fractions. You want to either keep them as simplified fractions, or you could put them in decimal like a 0.5. Yeah. You're welcome. Yep. It won't happen. You'd have to convert them to be the same, and I won't do that to you. I mean, could it possibly happen on a standardized test? Sure. You'd have to convert the feet to inches. But I'm not going to do, yeah, no, I won't do that to you. Any other questions? Okay, what have we got? I think you can start your homework, because I think we have till 30. Yeah, you've got 25 minutes, folks. Go ahead and go to Canvas and grab your homework assignment, because that wraps up the notes. Isn't that the best? Yes, Marcel, here, I'll unmute you. Go ahead. Go back to example 2, sure.